darlings, happy Sunday, happy last quarter moon, 28th of July today. So we have a lot to cover with the Olympics, and I have been doing lots of posts to prepare. Patreon is covered in work. I'm basically non-stop working, doing videos, doing posts, so it's a lot for me to bring it all back, but we're going to do it. We're going to go through, and the first thing that we're going to look at is this last quarter moon and a little recap of this month so that I can properly bring you into the Olympics. Okay, let's get going. So today we're the last quarter moon. Here it is on Stellarium. The moon is in Aries. The sun is in Cancer. So the sun is considered exalted in Aries, and the moon is the ruler of Cancer. And they are making a square for this 28th of July. So let's just recap, because it's important to understand what we've just lived and these cycles. So we had on the 6th of July a new moon in Gemini, ruled by Mercury in Pollux. Well, it was just in Castor, the sun and the moon. The sun was between both, and then the moon moved to be conjunct to Venus. Venus rules Taurus. Venus is the five-pointed star. Venus is the third eight. Every 8 years she makes that five-pointed star. She rules where the moon is considered exalted in Taurus. Feminine home of Venus, masculine home is Libra. So this is the cow, this is the fertile axis, and it's so important because the new summer solstice is now in Taurus, and Gemini, where the new moon is, loses his place. It's no longer Gemini, but Mercury is the heir. He is Régner. He is the little prince. He is the black prince. He is the sun and the moon. We've got the dark moon and the sun birthing the black prince, the little pass, the little claw. Charlotte means little, and Ryan means little king. So this is the birth with the female energy of Venus, of this black prince. So I've been in enormous detail with all this on Patreon. I did a big video about it, but we're going to try and keep it all. So we had that new moon in Gemini. So we're about to have a new moon in Cancer, and we've now got Venus just entered Leo, and we've got Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, which is now at the feet of Jesus, and Mercury will go retrograde. So we had the IT collapse, then we had, for the opening of the Olympics, vandals on the trains. So we've, this is communication and travel. Mercury, and he hasn't even gone retrograde yet, and Mercury at the feet of Jesus in Leo. This is the black prince. This is the birthing of the black prince. So Jupiter and Mercury rule the mutable cross, and Jupiter finds himself on the bullseye on the beginning of this last black moon of this month that we're ending now today for the last quarter moon. Mars was still just in Aries. Mars is now nearly conjunct, to Jupiter. And this is what I'm going to be talking about. We've now got the bullies, we've got the British patriot, we've got the bulldog, we've got the Dionysus axis opened with the Paris Olympics. So we've closing. That's why it's the whole big thing of the Christianity, all these Christians, the Christians are saying, you know, it was all satanic what was going on in Paris. But if you look at their Last Supper, there were 12 in the Christ Last Supper, and now they've got 9. This is just the axis from the coronavirus. Coronavirus is the feminine axis of the mutable cross. Pisces, the Little Mermaid. Virgo. So the way, if you're looking at me on the screen, it looks, and I don't want to start to get confused, but this is so, and they've just birthed the northeast, southwest, Sagittarius, Pierre, Paul, and Jack is coming up. The British, the bulldog, the bullies. And we'll come to this, but Nicola Bully, she went missing on the 1st of 27th of January, and yesterday was the 27th of September of July. So January, July, JJ, and that is the Capricorn Cancer, that is the CC, the winter and the summer. January, Janus, the 2 directions of the wheel, the head looking in the both directions. And that is this. And now Mars is returning. Nicola Bully was found in a river, in the water, in the moon, in the, you know, this is the snake, it's the water, it's the lunar energy, and the whole of the French Olympics is on the Seine, on the Seine, on the snake, on the river, on the waters. So Nicola Bully died in the river, and now Mars is returning and will be, so for today we'll get to that. Let's just go through the whole journey. So Mercury, the ruler of Gemini, where the new moon was in Cancer, that lunar, this Kali. This is Mercury that rules Virgo, and in Virgo we've got the tail of the snake, and we've got the head in Pisces ruled by Jupiter. So we've got this Christian axis of Corona and Victoria. They made Pisces masculine, they made Pisces Christ. You know, Donald Trump is playing a little bit that Christ, the head in the middle, that Christian energy. And now we've got, so that's the stone, Pierre means stone. And now we've got the masculine axis, the northeast. Paris is just in the northeast, and we've got Dionysus. So Selene, the moon goddess in tarot is Pisces, Selene, and Dionysus, Selene Dion. And that's what we saw. I haven't been looking, but I've just been picking up bits. I hadn't even seen Batman, Jupiter, and we had the new reign, the change of reign, the reigns. We had Charlotte Dujardin of the Garden of Eden, and we had Selene Dionysus singing Edith Piaff. Piaff is what the horse was doing of Charlotte Dujardin when she supposedly whipped him 24 times, which is the 2 cycles of the wheel, 12 and 12, and it is the symbol of Jupiter, 42, which is the Olympic logo. So all this we're going to be covering, but let's just carry on here and look at this journey. So Mars, we had Mercury, the ruler in Cancer, Kali, the moon. So all this has been building up. And we had the 7-7. We had the moon conjunct Mercury. Then we had Jupiter getting closer and closer to Aldebaran onto the bullseye. And we have Mars approaching Uranus under Algol. So then we have the attempted assassination of Trump with Uranus and Mars under Algol, conjunct Jupiter, conjunct to Aldebaran, Venus now in Cancer, the ruler of Taurus, where Mars now is. Mars is in detriment in Taurus. And we've got the sun right on Sirius, the star, the dog star, Sirius. And we've got the moon. We've got, so it was just in the 13th. It was the 13th, the assassination, the 13th. So 13th, and then we had the first quarter moon on the 14th. So the 13th is the third apparition of Fatima, the 13th of July 1917. This is the triple goddesses. This is the world card. This is the high priestess that sits, the number 13 card that sits between the JB pillars. And I said that Joe Biden would now fall to let this queen rise. The 777 is the Aleister Crowley, the Liber, the liberty. So this girl, Mercury, we've got the tail of the snake right in Virgo. We've got the head of the snake in Pisces, closing the Orus Boreas of the Sen, the snake. We've got the head of the snake in Pisces, and we've got Jupiter, the ruler of Pisces, Selene, and Dionysus. So they're going to be bringing up this green god right in the galactic gap of Fucius, who kills the fertility of Scorpio, the same man as St. George, the same story of Tristan and Isolde. It's just the same story always of Mars and Venus. Mars rules Scorpio. Scorpio is St. John. Same story of the decapitation, the killing of Scorpio, the decapitation of, Salome rising to decapitate herself, Scorpio. So just like Jackie Kennedy in the killing of John, it's like just like Yoko Ono killing John. So Yoko, Asia, Japan. We had in the last video, I showed you the sword in the stone. The Japanese emperor came to England. We've got this Pierre and Paul, Asia, Paul, Jude Paul, and Europe, Jude Peets, Jude and Paul, and they're bringing up Jack. They're bringing up that center line. So is Paris playing Paul, and is Europe playing Pierre, and is England and America something, is the whole of Europe to all of Asia going to become this one, like in a brave new world? They've got this map of the world divided into four parts in George Orwell rather. I'll be showing you that. So on this 13th, the day of Fatima, there are 28 days to the moon. 21 is the retrograde period of Mercury that rules Virgo. Mercury is about to go retrograde. He's on the feet of Jesus, the Last Supper, and Venus, Mary Magdalene, has come to join him. But it's the child Mercury, and Venus. So it's, this is not the mother of God. This is the whore of Babylon, as I keep explaining. So then on the 14th, we had the first quarter moon, and we had the moon right on that blue star. And this is the doors of Ishtar, the gates of Ishtar, the blue doors of the Queen of Hell that rides on the back of Charlotte. Charlotte Dujardin is CD, that's DC, AC, DC, We've got the whore of Babylon that rides on the whore, eyes on. It's the breast, it's not the third eye. This is the horizon line. So then we had 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. We had the full moon on the 21st. And I had a conversation with my daughter. Incredible, the cards, the tarot cards she pulled was Mars and Venus and Aphrodite. We'll have a quick look at the pictures so you can see the cards. But then we have the sun just moved into Cancer on the 20th, just between on the night of the 20th to the 21st. The sun moves into Cancer. And Venus is still in Cancer, Mercury, and then so important the date that Mercury was, for the little prince for the first quarter moon. Mercury was on the claws, the little prince, the little pass of Cancer. And then Venus was there for the 24th, so the big train strikes that we had, the IT collapse. That's right, the 24th we have, is it the 24th, the IT collapse? Let me see. Okay, so it was July the 19th. July the 19th, I've got all these charts. So that's today. I've got loads of charts here. IT collapse. IT collapse. I think I covered this in my last video. So Mercury, we had Jupiter. Yeah, we had these guys were still conjunct. Pluto in Capricorn. Pluto opposite Venus. And Pluto opposite the sun. So Pluto was in Cancer for the Berlin Olympics, and there are 88 years between very much the sword in the stone and very much Cancer, Capricorn, CC, and it is the 33rd Olympics, which is your 33 CC. So that's very big. Sun and Venus. Venus opposite Pluto, and Venus rules Taurus, where Jupiter is on the bullseye. And Mercury rules Virgo, where we've got the South Node, and Mercury ruled Cancer. The sun was still in Gemini. So this is all about the power to the little prince, because we haven't even, the sun was right in the middle of Gemini and Cancer, and that is what is being risen. Kali, the moon, the energy of the moon, Venus, the dark side of Venus, and Venus is now going to be conjunct to Mercury on the feet of the lion, the whore of Babylon, the Black Madonna with her child, because everything is about rising the new everything is about the 8th of December, rising the new Notre Dame. So that is the other big thing about that opposition, because Notre Dame, we're going to have Venus conjunct to Pluto. So this energy, this power, this IT collapse, and then again the opening of the Olympics. So Venus opposite Pluto, and you will see for the 8th, because we're going to have a repeat 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then 8. I show you every time, but so Mars will be exactly where Venus is in Cancer. Normally Venus and the moon work together. That is every man's anima, is the Venus and moon. And then for the bringing up of Notre Dame, we're going to have Mars in Cancer, which is exactly the same thing as what we have today. Moon in Aries. Moon rules Cancer, Mars rules Aries, so Mars in Cancer is the same energy as Moon in Aries. Right, so this is for the rising. We're going to have Jupiter back to where he is now. He's now on Aldebaran. He would have gone back and he will be making, so there is this connection between Jupiter and Mars being conjunct now in Taurus, the home of the moon goddess, and then for the rising of Notre Dame, Mars will be in the home of the moon, and the moon is conjunct Saturn, and Venus is conjunct Pluto. So this is the true twin peaks. The whole of the Olympic ceremony is, the closure of the sun and the moon. 24, there will be no need of the sun and the moon, for the lamp into the new kingdom shall be lit. And this is the true gates. So for the Olympics, it's the closing of the sun and the moon. And here is the passage to the true kingdom. Saturn and the moon conjunct, Venus and Pluto. So, things will always be played out in the most below the belt negative way, but the planets are only taking us through in the absolutely correct, proper fashion for those able to align with the true energy. So Sun will be in Scorpio with Mercury, who will again be retrograde. As Mercury is about to go retrograde, he will have gone retrograde just the day before on the 6th, and he's right on top of Antares. So this is the true MC, this is Scorpio, this is the fertility, and now we've got the Sun with the child taking the fertility of the female and the child, Mercury, and Venus conjunct Pluto. Okay, let's look at today's charts. First quarter, no, that's the first quarter moon. We want the last third quarter moon. So moon square to sun, again, this is very potent for the future rising of Notre Dame and Celine Dion, which I covered in depth. Yeah, you won't have seen it. It's on my Patreon. That was my Patreon newsletter. I go really in depth. That was Hey Joe, the opening, and anyway, let's not get, so now I get confused with doing so much different work of what I do where, and so let's just try and keep things as clear as possible. So third quarter moon, Venus, the ruler of where Jupiter is on Aldebaran, Uranus on Algol, conjunct to Mars. Mars, the ruler of Aries, where the moon is. And this snake, the head of the snake in Selene, the moon goddess, and that key retrograde Saturn, now retrograde in Aquarius, Neptune in Pisces, and little Mercury on the feet of the little king, Rein, air. So, Taurus is all about possession. It's all about what's mine. It's all about that patriotic energy. It's all about the vice of avarice. It's all about, finding your worth, your value, what you possess, what you have, what your five senses are aligned to, and breaking through from the black magic woman into the spiritual realm, from the material, the greeds of Taurus. So obviously, this is a time of, it's a very traditional, it's very conservative. We've got Pluto in Capricorn, which is government. So that's why we're seeing all this government push. And Jupiter in Taurus, the green man, Jack, this is Jack and the Beanstalk. This is Jack in the Box. Taurus, agriculture, earth, food, wine, good living. Dionysus, working with his moon goddess. He's got his Venus, he's got Jupiter rules Pisces, he's got his Virgo, he's in the home of Diana. Diana was sacrificed to Paris, and Nicolas Bully as well, to bring in this, you know, taking her, the fertility, to bring in this bully all over English. There was a big walk in England, patriotic energy, and, you know, just open bullying about how satanic and how awful the Paris Olympics are, which is, you know, it's just open bullying. And it's totally accepted now. It was made acceptable through the whole William and Harry and the whole Narnia energy of bringing up the lion against the ice queen, Scorpio, the true MC. Taurus is just the icy. The MC should become Scorpio, and you know, the sun rules Leo, and Venus rules Taurus, and Jupiter has no place, nor Mercury, on that fixed cross, which is the sun and Venus, Jupiter and Mercury. So Jupiter needs to take the energy of the sun and Venus and Mars and the moon. You know, they've changed places. It's just the anima and the anima that has been flipped. Okay, let's go. Let's have a little look at what I've been doing on Patreon, just to remind me of stuff since the last time that I spoke. I put a video on YouTube. So that was the last video that went onto YouTube. Okay, and then we had the chat with Chloe. So the chat with my daughter. This is very beautiful. I wanted it really, I let her just describe everything in her own way, and she brought lots of lovely information. And these were her 4 cards. These were her 4 cards. So she had that Aphrodite, Venus energy, and then we had the Strength, Leo. We had the Knight of Pentacles. So that earth energy between Aries, Mars and Venus. And then we had that last card again, another Leo energy, the sun. But I can't really remember, can't go more into that now because my mind is thinking of all the other things. And then I did the I did the rundown, a written rundown of everything that had happened since the beginning. Every 2 weeks I do that. So that was all this. And basically 14th of July, first quarter moon. Yep, that was a very long article. But I just want you to have a look at the pictures so that we can just quickly remember everything I was thinking. So I called it Hey Joe because J-O in French, the Jeux Olympiques, the Olympic Games, is J-O. So you always have that play again between G and J. So the O-Lamp Peak reminded me of this song of MC Solar, Monte Cristo, this famous French song, Je suis l'as de trèfle qui pique ton cœur, l'as de trèfle qui pique ton cœur, l'as de trèfle qui pique ton cœur, Caroline. It was one of the first French rap. It was MC Solar, Caroline. I have already spoken about this in a video, but I don't think one on So this was the song, and it came out in 1991. I remember dancing on tables in a nightclub, and I was pregnant with Chloe dancing to this. I really lived the whole rap movement in France. And he was an enormous, so you know, this is like the Prince Noir, and bringing in the Caros, the Cairo, it's the Cairo, and this is what we're seeing now between I think the Olympic rider, we've got Joss, we've got Roz Cantor, RC, riding Lord Gruffalo in the Olympics, and we've also got, she's in the team, and we've just had Laura Collette, who wrote the book, Colette wrote the book Gigi, which is My Fair Lady, and she just had the lowest dressage score of 17. It's the French event team at Versailles at the moment. And in the French team is my friend Karim. I used to ride with him when I was 23. He was 18. I rode for 10 years as he was training to become a teacher in those days. And yeah, all the friends I had have now gone on to be top horse riders. So Caroline, Cairo. And this is the song Charlotte Gainsbourg sung, Hey Joe, the daughter. So the new moon is going to be on the 4th of the 8th, which is 1984. Eurasia is a fictional country featured in George Orwell's novel 1984. It comprises the entire northern part of the European and Asian continents, from Portugal to the Bering Strait. So that Bering Strait is in between, this is the Cairo, it's in between Canada and Russia, which is the 55 kilometers, which is the two directions of the wheel. 12 and 12 is 24, to bring up the one hand of Fatima, the Queen of Hell, the new reign, change of reign. Reign is queen. In French, it's the queen bee. So Selene Dionysus is this connection between the moon's last phase, the four corners. The moon makes between, she's got 8 phases, but between her 2 quarters and her dark and black full moon, there is a square between the 4 90-degree angles, the LLL, the 2 corners, the 7-7, the 2 corners of that frame, that diaphragm of that Dorian grey. That's why Sirius is the keeper of the 4 corners, and Rumpelstiltskin is, you know, you have to remember his name, know thy name, to know your enemy, to find this Ponce Brooks, the devil comet, to find this passage back to spirit. So the Bering Strait, in the novel, it is one of 3 totalitarian regimes that divide the world, the other 2 being Oceania and Eastasia. So interesting, maybe it's going to be 3 separations, 777. Okay, so that was the recap, and I went into great detail because when I write, you see, we've got that always showing us this passage, this gap, this place of the throat, but we're hung upside down because the Eiffel Tower spine is, you know, if this is the throat, the passage, this is the Milky Way gap. So Andrew Cross, it's the name of that spider. It's the name of the electro spiders that are made in the barium, in the chemtrails. That's why we always see the white crosses. So he's got the rings, and that's what the 5 rings of the Olympics are. It's the retrograde of Venus that makes the 8-year cycle, which merges the 2 pillars. That's why they've got them in between the 2 pillars of the Eiffel Tower. You got your 8 analemma of the sun, the 8 phases of the moon and the 8 years to make the 5-pointed star of Mars and or Venus. But, you know, Venus and Mars have to come together. War and peace. So that was still that. The new moon in assassination of Trump, the miracle of Fatima, the third vision, Kamala or Kamala. Then we had in the newspapers on Monday morning, Monday the 22nd, Joe Biden goes out of those blue curtains, blue velvets. We did it, Joe. Hey, Joe, the Jimi Hendrix experience. And then we've got the Geo countdown. I want to show you. These are 2 great articles. The Descent of Inanna, a template for the heroine's journey. From the great above, she opened her ear to the great below. So ear, heart, heartly hair. It's the name of that comet. Heart is the H and the T. The ear, to have your ear, to have your ear. So, you know, that this is all the connection with the ear. And, you know, Taurus is just to the ear. It's not the head. It's not the top of the head. In Uma Thurman, who played in Kill Bill, you know, she takes the top like the Yoko Ono, the top of the head. From the great above, the goddess opened her ear to the great below. Wolskine and Kramer, 52. The epic goes on to describe Inanna's journey as she passes through the 7 gateways to the underworld. At each gateway, one piece of Inanna's magnificent regalia is removed until she arrives before her sister, the Queen of Hell, naked and bowed low, is grieving the death of her husband caused by the hand of Inanna. In a rage, she kills Inanna and hangs her onto a hook for 3 nights. So this is what creates Medusa, the Anuna, the judges of the underworld surround her. They pass judgment against her. The Ereshkigal gal fastened on Inanna the eye of death. She spoke against her the word of wrath. She uttered against her the cry of guilt. She struck her. Inanna was turned into a corpse, a piece of rotting meat, and was hung from a hook on the wall. So if you're hung on the hook, it's just like in Midnight Express when little Billy kills the keeper of the prison and he was just about to be raped, and he hangs the keeper of the, you know, the prison gatekeeper on that hook. Captain Hook on his hand was hung from a hook on the wall. After 3 days, when Inanna fails to return, her faithful servant and advisor Ninshubu had accompanied her part of the way, sets into motion her instructions to get help for her release. Inanna's father, the god Enki, sends 2 Gala, androgynous beings, to aid Ninshuba in returning Inanna to the earth. They secure Inanna's release by commiserating with Eshigal, who is so grateful for empathy that she finally hands over Inanna's corpse. The Gala revive Inanna with the food and water of life, and she rises from the dead. So, you know, the feminine mutable axis is Virgo and Pisces. Venus exalted in Pisces and detriment in Virgo. And it's always the story of Alice in Wonderland going into the underworld. And, you know, this is from hell to and this passage from to the voice, the spirits. This is what I'm going to be showing you for the Olympics. We had the moon right on the V for victory in Pisces. But this is just a great article. It is a great article. And the other great article, Ishtar. So this is everything we've got going on with Catwoman, Venus and Jupiter in with Charlotte Dujardin whipping the horse, the circus, the master, the, you know, the masochistic, that woman in the middle of the wheel is Venus, and there are the two sides of Venus, and the black sun and the blue gates into the gates of Ishtar, the lion gates. Okay, so now that 69 is always the three phases. You have the full moon with the two crescents on each side of the waning and waxing, which makes your full and your two sixes. Your two sixes, you merge, you make the full, and you have the two crescents, which is always the pivot of the 6 and the 9 of the BP. There was some other big BP thing that came to my mind. So again, the Cancer, it's just the 69, and that is your 69, the triple goddesses. And this is what the three men on the moon of the Apollo crew, 1969, Apollo 11. So the sun and the moon merge as one to open the gates of Saturn. So with the 55 kilometers between Russia and Canada, and there is the bay, the straits here in between. This is what's going to merge. The Cairo. Pluto was in Cancer for the Berlin Olympics, and Pluto was in Capricorn for today for the Paris Olympics. Your BP. The clenched fist represents the Olympic torch, the bird at the back of the brain. Google is birds. The whole Olympic Games, you've got birds, Olympics, Google. So we've got all these doodles every day of the birds. They're just showing you the birds on the Google and the wreath to show you. So yesterday we had the skateboarders. We had those 5 birds to open going down the Seine. So it's about the bird at the back of your, he's showing you the cover of the 1984 George Orwell. He's showing you the fist, which is the Ponce Brooks to take, shows you, but George is the throat, and gold well. The gold well of your voice. So the brainstem, there is the bird. He's holding the bird with one hand. Mercury rules the hands and the arms. And Virgo is that stem. So, you know, Mercury is the rising of that Christos, of that Christ oil. So that was the 13th of July, forced the up. That was a big covering of the whole. Here is the Black Prince. That's the 14th. That's that famous film, The Nail Clippers, 1969, of course, that won in Cannes. I've covered this in so many old videos. Here's the Black Prince. So he's got his George, St. George, and that's what this whole British patriotic movement going on is, to rise the throat, the pomme d'api, the Adam's apple. Here is the Seine, the snake, the hat from the Little Prince. The Little Prince, the little nail clipper, and the snake swallowing. The elephant, which is the back. The elephant is the trunk. The Nelly, the elephant at the back. It's the Ponce. So, yeah. Kamala Harris will enter as the new one hand of Venus. So I saw old videos of Lars and I at the time of Joe Biden from 3 years ago, covering so much, explaining all about Kamala Harris. You have to go back and watch all my old videos because this is all just repeat. I'm just talking about, it just goes on and on and on. I've been showing the same pictures for years and years and years. Everything has been about coming to this Olympics, to showing you the lamp. And here is Selene Dionysus, this is the Senator, this is Chiron with the open umbrella of the full expansion of the mutable cross, and Lucy, Venus. So there's the new prime minister in France is called Lucy Castet. Head off. In the Olympics, they show you Marie Antoinette decapitated with blood going everywhere, coming out. This is, everything is subconsciously so that you stop here. It's the Lamb, the George Orwell, the Berlin Gates, the Taurus, 19th of July. So that was we had the IT collapse on the 19th of July as Mercury entered Leo and was square to Uranus and Mars, conjunct under Medusa. Mercury, communication and ruler of Virgo, where we have the tail of the dragon Ketu, blah, blah, blah. I've said all that. So it was all blue star. This is Betty Blue. This is the IT collapse. So the cause of outrage, many report blue screen of death. I mean, I've told you over and over again, Betty Blue. And then we had the full moon on the 21st. And we had Mercury just entering into Leo. We had the moon conjunct Pluto for that full moon. We've seen that. Oh yeah, Mercury is going to be going retrograde on top of sextans. Exactly. So for the attempted assassination of Trump happened at 11 minutes past 6. And Mercury will be above this sextans between the 6th and the 11th of August, or the 9th and the 11th, one or the other. 9/11, I think. So George was 11, Prince George. Here's sextans. So 6:11 p.m, several shots are fired at Trump. So again, 3 shots the day of the third apparition. Again, it's apparition, it's appy, it's, it's apps. It's always the apple. So 9/11 is on the hat, and 6/11, so it's always that, and 6 and 9, 69, Cancer. So on the 24th of July, we have a waning gibbous moon, conjunct retrograde Saturn and square to Jupiter, and we had Venus right on the claws, and we had the attacks all over, cutting all the Eurostar. Don't forget, on Sagittarius, on the 21st of December, when I was travelling on the Eurostar to England, we had that massive strike. So, merging that massive strike of the 21st, and now for the 24th of the 7th, it's the 6th, so bringing back that energy of the new moon. 24 is 6, we had the new moon, and now Mercury is on the Little Prince, and we had the new moon on the 6th of the 7th, and this is 24 is 6 again with Venus on the Little Prince. Venus is on her way. They're both going to be at the feet of Jesus. It's coming up. So then we have, here's the butler. He's not the true heir, but is the Q. It's all about the Q. It's the Q. It's the Q. Celine Dion comes from Quebec. Q is the penis, and bec is, it's the head to tail. It's the north-south node. Quebec. It's the tail and the head. It's it's a slang word for penis, queue in French. So 26th of July, a finger of God points to Mercury. Yep, there it is, between retrograde Neptune and Pluto. 26th of July, the opening of the Olympics. And we have got Venus on the claw of Cancer, but just in Leo. Here's Venus. So Venus is sitting in the place of Solomon, This is Solomon 101. And it should be that we've got Venus right in between. So you've got your 888, Venus right in the middle, and Mercury taking the reign right on the feet of Jesus, on Regulus, about to go retrograde. I mean, it's so, everything is completely timed. There is that film, The Nail Clippers. It's a 5-minute film. Go and watch it. Everyone disappears in a hotel. All the white people go. Hotel represents Pisces. So then we had, I covered that in a video. We had at Woodstock in Blenheim Castle, we had Chiron bring all the rulers to the home of the Black Prince, and we had Woodstock, which again was in 1969 and in 1999, both held just outside America in Beth, and the killer, the assassinator was from Beth, something Bethel, short for Bethlehem. So this is the feet of Jesus. This is Mark. This is Tristan. This is not, this is not Aquarius. This is taking the true kingdom of Saturn. This is the feet, but it's also a passage we have to get through. This is Mercury and Venus at the feet of Jesus. So then that came out on the new moon, Ariane 6, after Falcon 9 and Armistice 5 or whatever. So that's what, the third quarter moon, that's today. So today we have got another finger of God, this time between, oh no, that's the same, that's the 28th of July, yeah, between Neptune and Pluto, pointing to Mercury. We've got Uranus and Mars still square now to Mercury still, Jupiter square to Pluto, and Jupiter square to Saturn. Okay. So Jesus's head always in the middle, and then I found this image putting the white Corsican in the middle with red, yellow, air, fire, and black and brown, which I thought was weird because it's like the four humours. It's showing us the four humours. These are just, the colours of the four humours. So this is what we're living. We've got him right in the middle. Some film from 1936. Charlotte Dujardin is 39 years old. So 36, 39. 6 and 9 again. 369. Nikola Tesla. This is the Nikola Bully. We've got Jupiter on the bullseye. The Nick, the pick, Nick, the peak, the pick. So Ariane 6, yeah, we've just seen that. And yeah, Retour vers le futur, back to the future, 88 miles an hour. And it's a 21 cards. Again, okay, so this is what we're going to have, the feet of Jesus. And let's go to the posts. Okay, we're going to go down this way. So what's that? That is just somebody from the event team. That is Laura Collette, who rides London 52. I spoke a lot about her. So Colette is Gigi 77, 1944. It's the same story as My Fair Lady. The moral of Pygmalion. Pig, mal, lion is that life is tuning up. Idealism. Okay, so here is the Here is the Versailles arenas. Look at this. So we've got the new axis is northeast, southwest, Jupiter, Jude, Polo, Sagittarius, horses, Valentine, Batman, and southwest, Mercury, Gemini, Robin, Cupid. Versailles is the worm, the wings of the worm. It's not the true snake. The wings of the worm, all for one and one for all. Only kings and queens can ride the horses to find the fifth element, Jupiter and Saturn. Jupiter the horse, flesh, Saturn the spirits. You get that with the rider on the horse. That's why they become the kings and the queens on the horse. So changing reign, Queen B, reign to change direction, reign, 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 reign. Kidneys, reign, queen, reign, to reign over a country, régner sur un pays. To reign a horse is not only to guide him, but also to control his every movement. Les reines ne servent pas qu'à guider le cheval, ils servent à contrôler tous ses mouvements. Change the rein. Changing the rein means to change direction. You will most often be asked to change the rein across the diagonal. This means that as you reach the end of the short, so that's just a typical thing. So this is the mutable cross, change of reign. When a colony loses its queen, an emergency exits. The bees raise new queens as quickly as possible. Worker cells, sometimes many, containing larvae, are modified to become queen cells. These larvae may be fed worker royal jelly for some time, so the queen raised may have a reduced egg-laying capacity. So they work together. The beekeeper, this Api, the bull god at the back of the neck, apiculture, works with the queen bee. So you're always going to have this Jupiter ascending, raising a new queen bee. So that's what these images are. I'll see if I can go through. So John Travolta showing you Orion on one axis. The cycle, it's just the same as the moon cycle. Marianne Faithfull at Rising of Lucifer, apiculture. Staying alive in the beehive, and showing you the other direction of Orion. The two directions of the wheel. Celine Dion and the beekeeper. So she miraculously found her voice. She came to sing Edith Piaff. We'll be seeing all these pictures. So here you've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Sagittarius, Jupiter, Dionysus. These are the gangsters. This is the masculine axis. Sagittarius and Gemini, Jupiter, Mercury, and at the bottom we've got the 12th house, Pisces. So this is Paul, Valentine, Sagittarius, and Christ is Pisces, and the 12th house of Jupiter with showing you the whole wheel. But now we've only got 9 because this is the 9th house. So there she is in green. Always she holds this up in that line of Jack to bring up Jack. We've got those 3 images. She's got her red shoes on and a green dress. So this is Richard Green, red and green. This is Romans and Greeks. This is holding up Amanda Fatima, and she's got the Union Jack. So as always, I always explain and show you, this is Jupiter, Jupiter, Mercury, Mercury, Sun, Saturn, Venus and Mars. Saturn, Moon, Mars and Venus. So everything going on is to take Venus that rules Taurus, Leo, the Sun rules Leo, and the moon rules Cancer. So we had a new moon in Gemini on the 6th, Mercury. We're about to have a new moon in Cancer. And we've now got Mercury from the mutable cross in the home of the sun. And we've got Venus, the ruler. We've got Jupiter in the home of Taurus, of Venus. So it's all strategic. Jupiter is here. He needs to be here. He's got Mars with him. He needs Mars because Mars rules Scorpio and Mars rules Aries. So you imagine Jupiter is right here with the ruler of Scorpio, fertility, Mars with him here, and little Mercury in the home of the sun. And the moon is considered exalted in Taurus. The sun is considered exalted in Aries. So there's Doctor Who at Notre Dame showing the mutable cross. A jump to the left, a jump to the right. That's all. It's showing you that we're going to change axis for the Paris Olympics. And I've been explaining that for a very, very long time. They show you just the last corner of the hormonal Liza. Mona Lisa, Liza, McNett, Liza Doolittle in My Fair Lady. There's got to be the Queen Bee. She's the passage. She's the Vesica Pisces passage. So it's just the spin. There's always one leg under the horizon, one angle. Queen Bee, the fleur de lis. Cairo. And here are your birds. Got the little birds. There's always a bird at the back of the neck. 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 12 birds for every movement around. You've got to get through that axis of the Taurus, of the torso of the Taurus. So Venus rules Taurus, Venus flycatch, catch 22, and the cycle of Venus. So Kali, Cancer, the little guy at the back of your neck, Bess, Viracocha, VC, Valentine and Cupid, Victor and Corona, and the 2 directions of Venus. Okay, so we're not doing too badly, just 1 hour. We're going to get through this quickly. So old Mac Ron Donald had an animal farm, Clockwork Orange, the circus, circuit, circuit has been opened. People are full of ignorance and hate and envy. They will never see the bigger picture. They remain bulldog bullies and haters. So all this hate is being brought up in England. This is all that Taurus, the bully coming in. So that was what such a big ritual. Yesterday was the 27th. We had the rally in England, full of that patriotic energy, and Nicola Bully went missing on the 27th of the 1st, January, July. And Mars is back exactly where Mars was when she disappeared on the 27th. So she disappeared on the 27th. Disappeared on the 27th, and Mars was on his way back to his last, exactly where Mars is right now. And then she was found missing, dead in the river on the 19th, just after the fertility festival floods that I was in, 13th, 14th, 15th. And on the 19th, when Mars was there, she was found dead. And now today, for the riots, yesterday, Mars is approaching, and he will soon be conjunct to Jupiter with Uranus, and they bring up the bullies in England. So it's all part of the process. I'm not criticizing anything, but people are under the influence of this. This is Clockwork Orange. This is Nikola Tesla. This is the free energy. This is the 369 in the passage of the 8s. So, I don't have to read that out to you because it's all, just show you the pictures. So Nicola went missing there. It's today. So the moon has just entered yesterday into Aries, but for the opening of the Olympics, the moon was just on this side of the V for victory, and now moon has gone into Aries. There's Venus bang in the middle of Solomon. At dinner, there's Nicolas Bully. She was in the river. It's like the Seine. This is bringing up. This is the YOKO owner, the breaking. This is the feet of Jesus. We've got Mercury that rules Virgo, bringing up this La Marianne, and also Mercury that rules Gemini, where that new moon was, where Venus was for the new moon. It's very important because it's Venus in Virgo that is truly, and we're going to have Venus was in opposite Pluto, and Venus will be conjunct to Pluto in Capricorn. So she's really, you know, she's got her whip like Charlotte. She's the sadomasochist, big, you know, men love it. They're all going to be Pips and Estelles. Pip is the Pip from the Appel of Venus. She's just one of the Pips. And the god, the wine, the butler, the wine god. So he opened Looney Tunes, his Jupiter finger, the Christ, the head in the middle, and he's bringing up his B, Jupiter ascending. Okay, that's enough of that. So this is into the Olympics now. France, Sun, Gold, King, and Moon, Silver, Cheese. Opposite is Saturn. Rules true twin peaks, Aquarius, Capricorn, N.A.S.A, North, South America, France and Tokyo, Empire of the Sun. In the middle of Paris, you've got the Palace of Tokyo. It's the biggest cultural modern art center right in front of the Eiffel Tower is the Palais Tokyo. So Empire of the Sun, merge to open the gates, got to pay your bill to open the gates. Saturn, spirit or death. Saturn, they make Yoko Ono, the unicorn, 26th of July in Cancer, moon, ruler of Cancer in Pisces, and Mercury in Leo, ruled by the Sun on Regulus. Jupiter, the Baron, so Baron is the chicest nightclub in Paris, right next to the Pont d'Alma, and the son of Trump. So Baron, the Baron is this, they let go of the big balloon, and I'll show you in a minute, but I've told you about the famous story of the adventures of Baron. I've covered, and it actually happened in the Olympics. Here he is with his balloon, with Uma Thurman. It's all with Robbie Williams. The film came out in 1988. There you see, there he is going off in his balloon. And it's all about the French Revolution, just like the Paris Olympic opening. And I'll be coming to that in a second. So the Baron, the adventures of Baron Munchausen, Jupiter on bullseye with Mars, Taurus square to the true heir Saturn, Saint Martin, Jupiter, Mars, Tintin, JJ, Joe, Geo, kill Saturna. So yeah, I don't think so. The baleine for the opening of the Olympics on the 26th. Here is your baleine. We've got the moon in the bal. This is the whale. We've got nearly this. We're now at the full half moon today, but the moon was going through the voice, through the V for victory, on the whale, on the balloon, on the baleine, the hot air balloon. Jupiter has no air. He's only got the whale's tail. So during the Olympics, the moon was going right over the whale's tail that whole day. It's right on the whale's tail. And then he goes through. On the moment that they let that balloon off, the moon was going through. And, you know, it was going through the voice, the V for victory. So Venus exalted in Pisces and Notre Dame rises as Venus in Virgo. Mercury rules Virgo. La Marianne is the reine d'elle. Hell, 3773. Ellen de Troyes, Paris. The baleine, the whale's tail, the cornerstone tone. Jupiter, Baron, uses the tail of the ball, air balloon, la balle. He has no wings, he has no air. Versailles is the wings of the worm. So let's just look at the pictures. So there's the balloon with the cornerstone. This is the 377337 of the cornerstone. You've got Uma Thurman from Kill Bill with the Baron and his butler. You know, he doesn't have... So these are all the images right in that gate. Venus rules the throat. This passage, and she rules the rein. The rein is the kidneys, the same word as the queen. The rein, the rein, the same word as the reins of the horse. So there was the moon right there. And you've got your Yoko Ono. So England and Asia become one and they birth this new Europe, Jack. I reckon, Yoko Ono. So in the film, he says, I'll be back. I share this clip. And if you see him going up, the Baron, and he says, I'll be back. Covered this a lot for the coronation of the king because it was all that lunar energy. So there we've got the sun and the moon merging at the solar plexus. This is the jellyfish. The jellyfish is your diaphragm, your diaphragm. The moon makes those four corners. She makes your frame. They've even put her in a square in the middle. So, you know, they show you. They're always showing you. The diaphragm meets the cornerstone. The diaphragm, the sun and the moon rise to the twin peaks to find that true capstone, to find your cap. Puss in Boots kills the egg. And there they are showing you the merging of one, Yoko and Julian. Again, showing you the three phases, the triple goddesses, the ELLE, 33rd Olympic, of course, Jacob's ladder. You've got the steps that come through in the throat. The green man, Jack, and the beanstalk. There's your 3773 making the vesica pieces. It's just L. Here you've got the full expansion of Jupiter, the umbrella. And now we come to the contraction. Here he is, the Leonardo da Vinci, in full expansion, and he painted that last dinner, that last supper. Jupiter rules this full expansion tin. You've got to find that fifth element for the 144, 36 degrees, 72 and 72 to make that 44. To find the fifth element, 3 times 12 times 30 is 360 and 5 times 72 is 360. Three, 6, 9 gap and the cornerstone. So that aeroplane went missing. MH, M is 13, H is 8. Okay. So everything is about the voice spirit passage. So Piaff is called Piaff, Passage de Piaff. PPs, your 9-9. Passage de Piaff is what Charlotte Dujardin was whipping that horse as the horse did its Piaff. So then we have Edith Piaff, and Edith Piaff is, Edith means sparrow. Anyway, it will explain here. Everything is about the voice spirit passage. The I Eiffel Tower. Shows you the passage at the base of the spine. Torso, Taurus. It's hung upside down. The voice is at the top of the spine. Piaff, oiseau, sparrow. Passage, PP, petit pince, prince. To the fifth element, your Ed. Through the heart, Eden, ear. Dujardin, garden, Eden. Edith Piaff is the sparrow, the bird is the Olympic torch, it's the stem at the top of your spine. To connect the spine to the head, Quebec, beak, head to tail, Selene Dionysus, Quebec, the Q to the bowel, the spectre. So the Q is the Q, it's the arse, it's the cue and stick, it's the cue when to say something. It's the cul-de-sac to the bowel, the baleine, the ball, the disco ball, the spectre to the orb. Charlotte Petite whipped her horse 24 times doing Piaff. Charlotte means petite. Doing Piaff passage. Olympic logo Jupiter 42-24. Two directions of the wheel 5-5 to rise the one hand. The straight, the middle, that shows you the one hand, 55 kilometers between the two, between Alaska and Russia and Canada. Venus, les reins, kidneys, reins of the third eye, center, 33rd Olympic Games, the vertebre, the vertebrae, the green tree, it's the green mile, the green line, the circus on the Seine, scene, silver moon, 8, golden sun, 8, merged with Venus, 8 to make 8. Venus makes the fifth element, 5-pointed star every 8 years. Venus voice in Taurus, the kidneys in Libra, or third eye opening when merged. Venus is exalted in Pisces, ruled by Jupiter, and in detriment in Virgo, ruled by Mercury. JMMJ, it's the 46th jazz in Marciac, where I live. Joe Biden was the 46th president. There are 46 chromosomes. And now the JB, Joe Biden pillars have fallen. And you've just got the girl, La Marianne, the bird in the cage is free. She can fly out between the temples. But what little bird are you letting free? You know, is this the dark side? Is this, you know, or is it, you know, this is your opportunity to see through it all and to be free. When I'm 64 makes 23 twin DNA, 32 piles of wisdom on the Kabbalah tree of life, 23 strands, T is 20, C is 3, top cat. Edith means wealth or prosperity. Edith is a feminine name derived from the Old English word Ead, meaning wealth or prosperity, like the Iliad, the Iad, in combination with the Old English meaning strife, and is a common usage in this form in English, German, many Scandinavian languages, and Dutch. Okay, so there she is, this passage through onto the fixed cross. Going to be in that passage a while. You are the portal. You are a multi-dimensional being that can move from one dimension of consciousness to another effortlessly. You can even be in a multiple dimensions at the same time. You don't need an external portal to get you to the next phase or new earth. You are the portal. Everything is within you. So there. Jupiter symbol, the 2 and the 4. The 888 is just that 369 in the middle, merging to find the 12th door, Pisces. The moon was in Pisces, conjunct the north node and Chiron for the opening of the Olympics. And we had Selene, the moon goddess, who found her voice. There is the voice, which, as they say, resembles the two passages between the yoni, the voice, and the orgasm. But then there is also the Q, the arsehole, and the spine. You know, which one are you using, the fist or the passage? The voice boobs. So there you've got the stairway to hell is just your ability to control your voice. There is Vanessa Paradis showing the same fetus position that John Lennon showed with Yoko Ono. It's the yoke. When the solar plexus, the balloon, the hot air balloon rises and you can find the oak. That's what that balloon was. You can be free. That little birds. So the throat to the third eye fell at the top, and your neck. I would think this is more the neck. It's not really upside down with the four pillars. It really is your ability. So, you know, it's easy to see everything as Christian, as the lovers or the devil. We had in my last Patreon group, we had a good chat. We did a good tarot reading for the closing, and we got very interesting cards. We got the devil upside down. I'm not going to go over that now because it was pretty intense reading we did with Leslie. So this is great. I'm able to go through all the pictures. I had 5 little birds going down the Seine, and Edith Piaff showing always that last leg. She's showing Mars and Jupiter conjunct, little Mercury, and she's showing Jupiter and Saturn. Let's get it. No, she's got the Sun and Saturn conjunct, Mercury and Jupiter and Mars. Voice of the sparrow, the little sparrow. That's what Edith means. So this is just the stem. It's the Q and the Q stick. It's the ball. It's the Pierre and the pole, Pete and Paul. Pierre and Paul, they must come together. Pierre and Paul to make the one. You need, and there's your birds, the medulla. And here we are at this passageway. So Dionysus and Lucifer, Lucy, Snoop Dogg, the elephant. That's why in The Little Prince you have the elephant consumed by a snake, which is this Olympic river on the Seine. There's your Ponce Brooks we had. Magdalene is the amygdala. And that 277, those 2 corners at the back of the brain, and the 2 corners, the throat is a completely hangman right angle. If you look, it's completely right angle, and also that giving birth, that passage is a complete right angle to get that baby through. That's why so many women suffer to push the baby through that right angle from the uterus to come through. Okay, so it's just all so simple. There we've got Amélie Poulain, app with this passage at the back of our neck. Again, it's got between the 2 corners, so they put 2 ducks. Coin coin in French, quack quack is the same word as corner corner. The 2 temples, the Liberty Pole, the mascot of the Olympic Games is this little red hat. And there is the gnome at the back, Rumpelstiltskin. Here is Piaff. This is what Charlotte, I can't look at that video of whipping the horse. It's really bringing up the masochistic, the hell, the queen of hell. So that is Piaff, and that's your Edith Piaff, the bird at the back of your head, and all for one and one for all. You've got to find your fifth elements. So this is again showing the Piaff passage, PP. It's that we're going through the passage of the sparrow of the, this is the passage. I mean, what passage do you take? The Piaff passage or the below passage? You know, this is Jupiter in Taurus is the vice of avarice. Taurus's dark side is just luxury, good life, food, cars, money, material girl. Or you break through to the spiritual Taurus through the voice or through below. What corner do you choose to get to the two corners at the back of your brain through the Piaff? So look, you can read that. It's always talking about the same thing. That was me showing this film again, which is, you go and see the adventures of Baron Munchausen. It's the clip was the clip 4/8, which is the day that Mercury, the day of the black moon, and Mercury goes retrograde on the 8th. So that's your 1984. That was, so 2012, 2016, BP, Triple, World 777. Yeah, me going off on one, everything I always say. And the pictures, there's your 7/7 showing you the four corners. You need a fourth 7 to make the fourth phase of the moon, which is today, the 28th. And there is that corner the baby has to push through. And there is that right hand corner, that hangman. You hang yourself. The tonsils is the trigger. There's the trigger. And there is your Olympic torch right here. And the ear. So if one ear has gone, if the other ear goes, it's the connection to the head, to the heart, ear. So your 7/7, the male and female voice, those two corners. And this is your new Lucy C, Cass, Tet, break your head. Cass, break, Tet, heads. Mart, Matignon. I've decoded that. I can't remember how I decoded it again right now. So, all for one, one for all. The Rose, Jane Birkin. So, Ishtar, she's just holding the two. She is the Venus in the middle of the sun and the moon and the two sides of your brain. This is Ishtar, and she is, you know, she can either have the bird's feet. She shows two breasts, and she's got the bird on the top of her head showing this triangle to the capstone. From the arms, Mercury, the arms to the top of the head, Mars, Venus, Mercury, and the sun and the moon, the two sides. Same pictures, it's the same thing every time. The Holy Grail. We're at the Holy Grail now in France. So this is Charlotte. That was the day of the news. Charlotte's news came out on the 24th of July, the day that we had, so the sun was opposite Pluto, Venus was square to Saturn. Yeah, the big thing about that was the Saturn and moon were conjunct. So the moon is ruling Cancer where Venus is, and the moon is next to Saturn. And we've got, you know, Pluto square to Jupiter. Lion, we've got Mercury on the lion. Always showing you the moon phases holding the gold. The black sun, one with the moon. Hey Joe. You've got the two men in black and the woman, always one leg missing. under the horizon. Got those two, that's the new axis of the gangsters, the men in black, Batman and Robin, northeast, southwest, and this axis is no more, the feminine axis, Corona and Victor, which is actually Victoria. Feminine axis over, masculine axis in, and we're showing you the new Polaris is on Mercury. Labyrinth, this is Rumpelstiltskin. That whole film with David Bowie is exactly from 1986, Year of the Tiger. There's a third hand here showing the Mars and Jupiter. Joe Biden fell. There's your mascot, the red noddy cap of the Strumps. Yeah, these are the colours of the Strumps. This is the Strumps. This is the world of people ruled by the Olympic torch, your pont at the back of your neck. There it is. There he is. You've got to get past him. You've got to find your name, otherwise the fertility will be taken. Dorian Gray, they show you the last corner. There is your balloon, your hot air balloon. This is from the old videos we did with Lars. Silence of the thalamus. So, I mean, it's just so enormous that we have got, you know, Saturn square to Jupiter, from the Adam's apple to the lamb, silence of the lamb, the thalamus. So you've got to get through that that angle. I was saying in my chat the other day with the woman who I learned how to give birth with was the same woman who apparently taught Diana. We don't know whether these people are real, whether they have babies or whatever, but she was the most incredible woman. I was the last group of women she taught how to have babies, and it was a lesson for life. She taught us how to breathe and how to keep us above fear. And that's how I was able to give birth without any fear. My mother was not there. They went to the pub. They missed the whole thing. My mother didn't tell the doctor. I knew from how upset he was that he had been tricked. You know, everything was done for me to suffer and fail, as my mother suffered enormously giving birth, whereas all the hospital said, you know, she was just incredible. She just went into a trance. I did what Betty Parsons, BP, told me what to do. I mean, I had to. The doctor wasn't there. I was all alone. I could hear women screaming all around me at St. Thomas's Hospital. And I just did what Betty Parsons told me. I stayed above each camel's hump, each contraction. I stayed on top of that wave, surfed it, and waited for the contraction to go down, went back up, and my son was born in the most beautiful fashion. So that right degree angle, your diaphragm, the William, that is the whale's tail, it's the cycle of Venus. He kills the apple, the third eye, so that you remain in the tail of Will I Am. That's Taurus and Aries, and Venus is exalted, the apple in Pisces, the spirit, back to spirit, showing you the whale's tail. And that is the same as the Olympic torch. That's your Rumpelstiltskin. That is this most important bit at the back of the neck. There she is, the Black Madonna. She's got bird's feet. This is Jupiter. This is Jupiter. This is Mercury. This is Virgo and Gemini. This is the little prince who's being born right now on the feet. Bang on the feet of Jesus. And here comes Venus. So on the 4th, we're going to have the new moon. There's the new moon in Cancer. And Venus bang on Regulus as Mars is back on Aldebaran. So this is the connection of that, making that leg between Taurus and Leo. There is a square between Mars and Venus, and a square between Mars and Saturn. And then for the rising of Notre Dame, we will have Mercury and the Sun in Scorpio. So then Mercury on the 5th begins retrograde. We'll have Mercury and Venus at the feet of Jesus. I mean, it's just enormous. Then the Sun will be on the claws of the little prince. So, you know, that's going to be a big date. Oh, then we've got the Lion Gate on the 8th, the 88 years, the 88 constellations, and we're going to have the moon. Yeah, the moon will just be in Virgo. Venus, Mercury still there, ruler of Virgo, moon with the North Node and the key, and the conjunction of Mars and Venus. I mean, the absolute conjunction is going to be on the 14th. And actually, the 12th, which is going to be the back to front, what we have for the rising of Notre Dame, we've got Mars and Jupiter conjunct. Wow. The last leg, yeah, the Stubbs paintings, they always show you a horse on 3 legs. A horse galloping, when it canter, it's always on 3 legs rhythm, and 4 legs is suspension. When a horse gallops, the 4 legs rise up above. The horse finds the spirit. So horse is an anagram of shore, of the horse, the horse. So he was elected at the 46. He's the 46th. And the Jazz in Marciac Festival, Jules Hollands was there. And there is, that was the other woman. There was Harris and there was her at the time of the of Biden's. So again, they're showing you there's the 4 corners and the 8 phases. And these 4 corners, which also makes a square. The squaring of the circle. The Philosopher's Stone is on Taurus. Venus rules. And Taurus, and the moon is exalted. The squared circle. So you've got the 3 phases. You've got 2012, she had a gold medal. 2016, and then 2021. But then for the 2024 Olympics, she is now the Queen of Hell. So that last leg, 777, 21 in the world, and they rise up La Marianne, the Queen of Hell. So, you know, this is serious, and the men love it. Men will always respond. They don't like mermaids. Men want a whore, I'm afraid. And, you know, women like to be bitches to each other. Men prefer whores. That's why I just step right off the whole game. Because that's all men want. And they don't like mermaids. Mermaids are in the spirit. They're not here to fall to earth and to know the delights of the forbidden fruit. Okay. So Solomon Passage becomes Salome. Salome kills John, Lucifer rising. Amélie Poulain and the Gnome. Charlotte Dujardin she's born on the 13th of July, the day of the assassination, the day of the Fatima. Yeah. Apparition, 3rd, 21, apparition 7777, 28 last quarter moon. That's today. Okay. So you read that, and this is, so there we go. Charlotte Dujardin, the Queen told them, no other girl rides like me. So this was in her prime. And we had going around internet this picture of Signori Weaver with the top cat, TC. And we've got this going around of the Sims in the purple Rein. And there you've got always top cat in that purple. And this is the blue velvet showing the hand and the ear. So that's Venus and Mercury. Mercury is the hand, Venus is the ear, blue velvet, but you need the two eyes, you want the third eye. This is the Philosopher's Stone. This is not. And we had Joe Bidham going through the blue curtains. This is the blue gates of Ishtar. So she is being raised, that, you know, this is all the New Age, this is all the Vedic astrology, this is all the trap of Mercury. Mercury rules the age of India, and now we're going to Aquarius, but the true astrologers, Saturn, nobody wants to know, because we've got all these Vedic astrologers who aren't going to join up the dots. George Harris, Hari Krishna. I did videos on all this. So these guys were both at the Olympic opening. The Princess of Hell, Amanga, Charlotte, Charlie, the Morning Star. And this was Monkey, the Moon Key. The Moon Key and the Monkey is the planet of the apps, the app, the eye of the app. The apple, the High Priestess. So you see the top of the head is the Alpha Omega, and the Aleph Tav, the four corners of the brain, is the seal. But you need that cap. You need the cap. If you want to get ahead, get a hat. So she was in to pay your bill, get through the gate. Bill Gates, kill Bill, kill Saturn. You know, this is Europe and Asia. The monkey, that's the monkey at the back, is showing you the stem again. So Charlotte Dujardin, this is, we've got her actual chart here. So this is the Cigale, we've got the full opening of Jupiter, and the closing is between Saturn, the Sun and the Moon, Mars and Venus. No more mutable cross, but we're being closed on the sigil of Lucifer, which is in between Jupiter and Saturn. This is the gap that we're living. So that again, it's the top of the egg yolk, the Yoko Ono, the Canada, the can of adders. She has got marked Isis. She carries, this is Taurus, the moon goddess, Venus. Cat on a hot tin roof, Elizabeth Taylor, black, white, yellow, and red, the four elements. Gigi is that 99, it's the two corners, and she was, since My Fair Lady, same story, who wrote Colette, who's just got the best mark in the dressage, showing the four corners and the eagle taking, and the eagle is going through this triangle. The phoenix, Jupiter has only got this bird's wings and the tail of the whale. He has no air, so he uses Mercury. This is what we're seeing now. The contrast as these coins, these two corners, a coin is a corner, a coin, becoming one between France and England. The English are all behaving like these French now. And the mummy. And the Salome. So this is what we see at that Last Supper in the Olympics. John Lennon And that's in that position of the fetus, with the head of the Yoko Ono, two directions of the hand. Queen Charlotte was a series on Netflix. That image comes from this, I think. Inanna enters the final gate and walks to the throne room of her sister Ereshkigal, the queen of the underworld, naked, humble and defeated, with the eye of death. In that moment, Inanna dies, and Esha hangs his sister's corpse on the hook. I'm not sure where that picture came from. It's one of those articles. So you've got, on the shoulders, you've got the two birds showing the back of the neck, the parrot. That's why you've got so much birds on the, on the shoulder. Venus is the shoulders. We've got those, we've got the sun and Mercury, Jupiter and Saturn separated, and the thumb behind this child. So Cupid with the wings, Mercury and Venus, is that two directions of Venus. Venus's orbit 224.7 days, 224.7 days. Setting of the sun, the rising of the sun, and the orbit of Venus to make this Vesica Pisces, the evening and morning star of the two directions. Jackie Kennedy, and wasn't he shot in the head? It's just the story of John and Salome. JK, she's in pink. The Holy Grail, the two hands and the one eye. Holy Grail. The seven, Lucifer rising, there she is. So, we really have gone through this fall from the little, just the same thing as Brad and Janet, JB. We went through the pillars, Brad and Janet, into the Rocky Horror Show 2022. The Eggman, okay. So I will put this on the video so you can read it with the links. So Charlotte, the name is of French origin, means free man or petite, and is the feminine form of Charles. So the novel starts. So what's that all about? What novel? Oh yeah, I talk about the underworld of Klim, which I've also spoken a lot about. The novel starts. This is the adventures of Klim in the underworld. Yeah, it's very difficult for me to go back to what I was thinking. So these pictures will be pretty similar. We've got Charlotte's chart. So she's born on 13th of July, 1985. She's born with Sun and Mars. So that is her hidden shadow on Sirius, her animus, her masculine. She's got Mercury in Cancer. Venus was on top of her Mercury, rising this Kali energy of the Black Madonna and the child, bringing in Venus. She's born with her Mercury square to Saturn, and we had on that day the moon was conjunct Saturn. So I did this the day after, but the moon was conjunct Saturn of the news of the whipping coming out. It had happened 4 years previously. She's got Uranus opposite Jupiter conjunction Jupiter right on her key. She's got Venus on the bullseye, and Mars and Venus are coming in, and Uranus on Algol, war and peace. Uranus, she's got her moon on Algol, north nodes in Aries, south node in Libra. She's got Pluto and Saturn retrograde in Libra. Wow, so she is all on this axis. She's got her moon in this axis between Mars and Venus, Mars and Venus. And her top of her, she's rising Mercury, she's rising Virgo, and she's got Gemini on the top. So Mercury rule her 10th house and her rising, and she's got her Venus on the descent. So we've got the North and South Node right on her AC/DC at the moment. And look at this big square. Okay, there's a lot to see there, but basically she's born on the day of that apparition on the 13th of July of the hand of Fatima, of the Queen of Hell. So Catwoman and Batman. Catwoman whips Batman. She uses her whip, and there she is in this image. This is, you teach your horse to do Piaff. And, you know, you never, ever, ever, ever touch the horse with a whip. I mean, this is only in stories. She's playing the Queen of Hell. So the journey of Niels Klim. So Niels, it's the Nile. And milk. The milk is the cow. It's Venus. So there you've got... This is the garden, the jardin. She's called Charlotte Dujardin. Again, so yeah, that's her chart. The other one was with the transitions. So the torturer. And there she is, Venus, holding the last corner. The Queen of Hell at the gates of the lion. And this is the looking glass, the Q. The looking glass is the mirror, Venus in Pisces. You've got to get through the mirror. The Garden of Eden, Edith. Charlotte Dujardin is Eve. The apple. And Cupid's. And the snake is what we're living now, the closing. So the cherry, these are all old stories I've explained. So again, we've now got Harris, and this is Venus. This is just Venus. So the head and the spine is Venus, Mars and Venus, Sun and the Moon, and Saturn rules. You've got to have Saturn to get through the spirits. So we had on the news that this came out. It came out on the 6/6. And Mercury was on the claw, was right on the claw of the little prince, as, not Mercury, Venus, opposite Pluto. And we had the moon conjunct Saturn, and we're going through the gates of Ishtar. 32 paths of the Kabbalah. This is where I live, the 32nd department. The gardener, and there again, just as in that film Picnic at Hanging Rock, she comes back, the lady in red. Miranda's gone, and there through the gap the Queen of Hell enters. That's why Celine Dion was all in black and white. Bill and Ben, Biden makes me think of Ben Laden and Bill and Ben. And there's Black Beauty, the horse between the five. Normally that's Christ, and we've got the horse's head. Amélie Poulain and Lolita, Callie, and the Black Madonna, back to black. And there she is. She's Amy Winehouse, came back. This is the same person as Eliza Pilasky, who was with her dog Sirius, who was killed pregnant by 93 dogs. So my little China girl, David Bowie, again, like showing you Asia and England, Pete and Paul, and rising the new axis. So the new axis is between England, America, Europe and America. That film was National Velvet, and then you had International Velvet with with Tatum O'Neill, who also played with her father, Paper Moon, which was all about pedophilia, that Lolita, the man and the young girl. So the breast, Callie, it's the nose of the aeroplane, Catwoman, Cancer, Algol, Hobbits, Corona, Rhythm of the Night, Dirty Diana, and this is where we're at. So Princess Diana, the Olympic flame, the torch is at the Pont d'Alma. So you have the girl between on the fixed cross, you've got the girl between the lion and the lamb. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion and the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. So this is Mercury leading us to the fixed cross, and there is Gabrielle, the name of the floods in New Zealand, and this is just Callie, the breast on that corner. So call 101, and now we have on the 27th of January, she goes missing, and then on the 27th of July, Janus, the gates, we've got Venus right in between. 101, we've got Salome. Between Mercury, the moon rules Cancer, the sun is in the home of the Cancer, Mercury rules the twins, and Virgo, and the moon was in Pisces. So that is for the 28th, that's for the last quarter, the last leg. Now the moon today is in Aries. There's Gabrielle with the Q and the bowl, the Pierre, the stone and the pole. Okay, so I've ended on Facebook. I then did another video that is not on YouTube, and that went, you see the two directions, left hand, right hand. It's always mark at the keeper of the four corners. So Mercury, Sirius with the lion, the dog and the lion, the keeper of the four corners. This is the Tristan connection. The hair, the air, what was I talking? The air under Orion. Selene Dionysus births the little black prince. So Venus and Mars, you've got the two directions of Venus and this Pan. She's holding Venus. You see the Venus is upright. The Q, the Venus is upright in Pisces and reversed here. The two directions of Venus. So this was something that was written on Facebook, which was very, and I'm saying Q is spirit with a K. K is a tail, a bec is a beak. Quebec City, birthplace of Celine Dion, is the tail to head, back to front head. Q is a Q, a line of people. Q is Q, an asshole in French. Q is a signal to do or say something. K is a vulgar for penis, but also means tail of an animal. Writing in italic composed from G.G. Young, GG7. So that is very interesting what she wrote. All that. So Prince is the Venus merged with Sagittarius. So you've got Venus and Jupiter. Jupiter in the home of Venus now in Taurus. And this is Venus and Mars. And you've got Sagittarius, Jupiter, Venus and Mars to make this new Mercury, the Black Prince, the one. And that's showing you the purple rain between the pink and the blue. So there's this connection between her and Prince. So what was that? I did a tarot card reading. I'm really just doing so much at the moment that so this is again Jupiter and the underworld, Jupiter and Selene, the moon goddess. And here we've got that upside down Fatima, the two directions. Okay, so that is that very good post by Gigi Young. She's called Gigi Young, but she's not going to mention it's the arsehole. But it's very interesting. So this is my friend Karim, who we used to ride together. He's in the Olympic team. This is true connection with a horse. None of that dressage. It's all going to go. Freedom now. This is true horsemanship. No bridle. No, you know, really connecting to the horse. So it's really the two sides. There's the masochistic and those who let things happen freely. But these little Mercury boys, they love the bitch. They don't like the beach. You've got to find that middle energy. So this is I did a very, for clients of more than 5 years, 20%, clients of the past 3 years, 12%, and new clients, 5%. And it's the same as on my Patreon, €5, €12, and the €25, you get the same automatically. There's you get that connection when you join on Patreon. My internet, I can't think, I'm so tired, sorry. She did a link on my Patreon so that you are taken automatically through Patreon to the discount. So I'm just checking there's nothing else important. Interesting that I've been posting about the sparrow, and we have the Edith Piaff. It's just, again, you know, people are unconsciously talking about everything going on. The sparrow is your ability to be free spirit, to find that little bird, to let the bird out of the cage. It's Mercury. So yeah, that is the 46th edition of Jim in Marciac, Jazz in Marciac, Chris Isaac, loads of people. Okay, darlings, let's close this video here. I will be back for Patreon to do a rundown for August, and I look forward to new people coming to join us on Patreon. And thank you so much to all of you who have joined us on Patreon. I think I've got a rhythm going now with, I know what I'm doing every 2 weeks, a written rundown, the opening for the first tier, you get that written rundown, and you get a opening to the month, and you get a couple of offbeat videos that I share. Then the middle group, you get to see how I do, you know, examples of readings, plus videos just for you, like, you know, talking about the full moon and guests. And we did this, I did a full reading for somebody, natal reading with the written feedback, with everything I draw. So you get examples. I'll probably maybe do a Saturn return for this month's examples, and then for the last tier we do always a closure of the month, the last quarter, and tarot. And so basically, yeah, I've got that rhythm going now. Okay, my darlings, come for readings. Come and join us on Patreon if you feel inclined. It's just you will be able to follow much more because I'm doing things spontaneously all the time. and have a lovely last quarter moon, and watch out for that Mercury going retrograde on Regulus, because we might have a repeat of the IT. Some big, you know, this is very rebellious. This is happening opposite Saturn retrograde in Mercury is going retrograde opposite Saturn, and he's going retrograde above this constellation of Sextan. So let's see that Mercury. So he's Leo, 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 Leo. Oops, Leo, 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 and then on the 6th, he's in Sextan here, this constellation, until the 11th, which was the time of the shooting on, the attempted shooting of Trump. So that's 6/11, 9/11. There's something building up. Okay, my darlings, I love you very much. Bye for now.